All right. Hey, everybody. I got a few questions, or I noticed that there was a few questions coming in from the Kinstretch class about how often you're supposed to do it, or how often you're supposed to train this way, how many days per week you're supposed to train this way. There's not really an easy answer for this, and I just kind of want to explain my thought process. If you were here in front of me and you were asking me after attending a Kinstretch class, I would explain it this exact same way. The way that we're explaining strength training in FRC, and the way that I tried to explain it in the webinar I did with DJ and John, is that this is just highly specialized strength training. So how would you program strength exercises? So if you hired me as a powerlifting coach, we have to squat. So how much do we squat? Well, there's not really a right answer for that. I have to assess you. I have to see what you're currently capable of, and then we have to make you better. We have to squat more. So I find out what you're capable of doing now. Maybe today you could do body weight squats only because we have to work on technique, and then we could only do a few sets of 5 before your form breaks down. And then the goal over time is to increase volume, increase intensity, increase the variables, or play with the variables to try and improve your ability to squat over time. This is just strength training. If you guys actually went through the motions of the class, you realize that we're just training your end ranges of motion. So now you have to play with the variables. So which ones do you want to get better at? What spoke to you? Do you want to get better at hip abduction? Did hip rotation speak to you? There's really not a right answer here. If you're not really looking to improve anything specific, maybe I can give a general answer of maybe 1 day a week working on a Kinstretch class. Maybe twice a week if you could handle that. But without knowing any of you and without assessing any of you, I can't give a blanket statement of a prescription. I can't say do it 3 times a week, twice a day. That would just be, it would be unfair because I don't actually know what you're capable of. You kind of have to see how your body feels. Like some people said they were thrashed after the class. Yeah, then you probably shouldn't do that class again for a couple days. You should focus on recovery for a little bit while. There was another question, like how do you focus on recovery from this? That's an extremely individual question. There's not really an easy way to answer that. Once again, it comes down to, without assessing all of you individually, I don't know how to answer that question. So it's a little bit, I'm not trying to just divert responsibility here, but it's your responsibility to know your body well enough to know what kind of stressors your body can handle. This is just another physical stressor. So if you were to add in any kind of skill work or strength work or endurance work to your program, if you just add it on top of what you're already doing and you were already near threshold of what your body could handle, yeah, you're probably going to push your body a little bit too far. But there's always a little bit of give and take here. If you're near threshold or near capacity of how much physical work you're doing per week, you can't just add in something like a Kinstretch class and not expect there to be negative consequences. So if you're going to add in like a high intensity Kinstretch class and work as hard as I coached the guys in that class, you're going to have to maybe take away from something else. But once again, maybe not. It depends. Like I have some of my clients or some of my students, they train with me one-on-one 2 or 3 days a week and they work hard. They also show up to 1 or 2 Kinstretch classes a week. They're also playing in a adult soccer league on the weekend. But they have the capability, they have the capacity to handle that kind of training on a regular basis. So for them, it's perfectly appropriate. But maybe for you, and if you were to follow that person's program this week, it would just destroy your body. You'd get sick, maybe you'd get injured. There's no way to really know. So trust me, I'm not trying to just divert responsibility here, but unfortunately, I'm going to have to point the finger right back at you. I'm going to have to point the question right back at you. What can you handle? If you did the class as I called it out, at the intensities I called out, how did you feel after? Were you sore? Were you sore for just a little bit? Were you sore for a couple days? You kind of have to play with the variables yourself on just like if this was any other training that we were throwing into your training program. So I hate to not have an answer for you, but the reality is, just like anything else with training, the most honest answer I can give you is it depends. It depends on you primarily and you listening to your body. And if you understand that this is just strength training, then you should be able to find a balance between the other strength training exercises you're doing throughout the week to really balance out your program. So if you treat it just like any other exercise, the question should slowly answer itself based off of how you monitor how it stresses your body. Hope this was able to clarify things. I know it's not a straightforward answer, but once again, if you were here in front of me, I would have told you the exact same thing. It depends. You got to play with dosing and stress to your body, and then monitoring the response over time, and then playing with the variables to see what happens. Hope that helps a little bit. Thanks.